Welcome back to another episode of The Rundown. This time we're going to be featuring NinjahRS, and we're going to be going over the Tyrannical ring imbued and the Berserker ring imbued. I'm going to go through the differences and everything about them, and pick an overall winner at the end. As always, we're going to do pros, cons. We're going to use this, what the actual item stats are, and how good they are, where they rank, and then obviously the ranking scale on this, which is our 1 to 10 scale, using monsters to represent the categories. And so let's jump into the pros and cons of the Berserker ring. So the pros and cons of the Berserker ring, it's the only ring that provides a strength bonus at a +4, and then if you imbue it, it goes up to +8. It's fairly easy to self-sufficiently achieve if you go to DKs, as it's a 1 in 128 drop from Rex, which is easily safe spotted. So if you want to get this on your own, it's pretty easy to get. And it also provides a +4 crush defense, which goes up to +8 if you are imbuing it. The cons of this ring is that it has no offensive attack bonus or accuracy at all. So you're not going to get any stats on the attack side of things. And it's moderately expensive. The ring's about 3.8 on average. It does fluctuate here and there, but I think it's safe to say it's about 3.8 mil to get this ring.
Alright, so the pros for the Tyrannical ring is it is the only ring to provide a crush attack bonus at +4. If you imbue it, it brings that up to +8, which is pretty nice for things like Corporal Beast and other bosses that are weak to crush. It is ideal for monsters requiring a crush attack, so like before Corporal Beast and all those different monsters, that would be nice at. The cons are it does not provide any strength bonuses at all. It is difficult to self-sufficiently achieve, as it is a 1 in 512 drop from Callisto. And it's a very expensive ring. At the time that these slides were made, it was 4.3 mil, but it is now 6 mil, which is just crazy.
So where's it best to use these rings? For the Berserker ring, bosses that you want to have maximize your DPS. So pretty much any Slayer monster, aside from the onesies and twosies like Hellfight Queen and Cerberus, possibly, might be better to use a Tyrannical for that extra crush bonus. But other than that, most bosses, it's going to be probably the best to use a Berserker ring imbued at. So General Slayer and everyday melee bosses that you could use them at would be any one of them. If you're an attacker, pretty much you want to use a Berserker ring to get that strength bonus as high as possible. So Zilliana, Bandos, Zami, all will be good to use there.
Alright, so the Tyrannical ring is mainly good for a lot of bosses that are weak to crush, so things like Cerberus, Corporal Beast, Hellfight Queen, and just other bosses like that have that crush weakness. It is also potentially useful for a boss that has high crush attack bonus itself, so that's pretty cool. And also a lot of people will use it as whenever they're doing Dragon Warhammer specs at Corporal Beast, as it does increase the crush on the hammer, which makes you hit the specs more often.
Yeah, and as soon as you get one spec in, you're pretty much guaranteed like half the time of a Corporal Beast kill. So now we're going to jump into the stats of the Berserker ring. If you look at the attack bonuses, there's not a single attack bonus to be seen at all zeros. If you jump down to the defense bonuses, you're going to see that it's tied for first place with the Tyrannical ring imbued with a +8 crush defense bonus, which is the best in game for this defensive stat compared to rings, I guess. So Berserker and Tyrannical tie. If you jump down to other bonuses, you see that it has the best melee strength bonus coming in at 8. With the imbued version, which is rivaled by none. Nothing beats that. That's insane. Then you look over at the weight, and it has no effect on weight at all. Not that it matters too much, but yeah, it has 0 kilograms for the weight.
So for the Tyrannical stats, it has an insane +8 crush bonus, definitely the highest crush bonus on any ring in the game, and it also has a generous +8 defense crush bonus as well, which is pretty cool. And I think that's imbued as well, so it'd be like a regular +4 crush defense and +8 crush attack. But overall, still a really good ring. So when it has an attack bonus, it lacks in melee strength bonus as well. So it comes in with a 0 on the increase in melee strength as well, so that kind of sucks. But overall, the crush attack and defense sort of make up for that. And it's one of the only rings in game with a weight increase. So I guess that kind of makes sense though, as it is a Tyrannical ring. Tyrannical kind of meaning heavy in a way, so yeah.
Yeah, and if you examine it, it says like an extremely heavy ring or something. So I guess it does kind of make sense if it goes along with the examine option. All right, Ninja. So where would you put the Berserker ring on the defensive scale?
Well, since it's a +8 crush defense, which is not too bad, but it's definitely not like a huge like defensive like against bosses and stuff like that. I'd probably put it at around a 6.
Bandos, yeah.
General Gridor.
I would probably agree with that. I think I'm actually going to go with a 5 though for defensive score, because it is a +8, which is insane for rings, but I don't see that many bosses that use too much crush. So I guess I'll give it a 5 at Calphi Queen. So for the offensive score, where would you put it on the scale of 1 to 10, Ninja?
Well, since it's like pretty much the best melee strength offense in the game, so I'd probably rank it at around 8 because it does have the best melee strength like offense in the game. It doesn't have no melee accuracy, which kind of sucks, but still I think the strength bonus is really nice. Definitely makes up for a lot of max hits at different bosses and Slayer tasks.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the +8 strength bonus is insane because nothing else in the game for a ring beats it. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9 at Jad. And as far as cost effectiveness, where do you think it ranks?
Well, since it's around 3.8 mil, like it's sort of cheap, but it's like not cheap, I guess, to some lower level players. But still, it's a pretty nice price, so I'd probably put it at around a 7 at Silver.
Yeah, I think 7 seems about right. But if I look at it, the Ring of Suffering is like 18 mil. Tyrannical is what's 6 mil now apparently, and then you got the Ring of the Gods at 12 mil, and this one's only about 3. So I guess if you look at it in that aspect, it's fairly cheap for as good a bonuses that you do get from it. So I think I'm going to give it about a 6 for cost effectiveness. So now that we've rated it on these 3 basic ones, what would you give it for an overall ranking?
So for overall, I'd probably go with a 7 again actually, because it has really great offensive. The defensive is kind of mediocre, sort of. And the cost effectiveness is pretty nice, so I think overall 7 is pretty solid.
And that makes sense. I think the defensive score it helps it, but doesn't hurt it. And then the offensive score definitely helps it with the +8 melee. So I think I'm going to give it an 8 overall, because I think it's one of the most useful rings in the game all around. Getting that high DPS is really going to help you with your kills per hour, and it could potentially lead to really good loots. So I feel like it's probably a solid 8, 7 or 8. I agree. Alright, so for the Tyrannical Ring ranking system, where would you put it on the defensive scale?
I'd probably put it again at a 6 actually, because it has like pretty good defensive, the same as the Berserker Ring, and it's just overall a really nice ring.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, it's the same as the Berserker Ring, so I mean, I wouldn't rate it any better or any worse. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 5 as well, just like I did last time. So for the offensive stats, where would you put it on the offensive scale?
Considering it doesn't really have any like strength bonus, that kind of hurts it a little bit in retrospect, but it still has a nice +8 crush bonus while it's imbued, so I think that's pretty nice for like the bosses that's weak or that are weak against crush. So for that reason, I'd probably put that at a 7.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the same thing. I mean, that strength bonus does hurt it because, if it had a strength bonus and a crush bonus, it would be fucking insane, but it doesn't, but it does have that +8 crush, so I think I'm going to give it about a 6 as well. Again, I think that's probably a good range for it to be in. So what about cost effectiveness? Where do you think it ranks for that?
Well, considering it's like the only ring in game with an actual really good crush bonus, and the fact that it's 6 mil, like you said earlier, a lot of rings are more expensive than that. They have like different uses, but they're way more expensive. So I think 6 mil is actually pretty good, and I'm gonna rank that an
8. 8, okay. So I'm gonna look at it from a different perspective, and I look at it by usability. So Ring of Suffering is 18 mil, yes, but it counts as a recoil. It's got a +4 prayer bonus and +20 to all defensive stats if it's imbued. The Ring of the Gods has that crazy prayer bonus, and then Tyrannical Ring, it has an insane crush bonus, but you can only use it really at Corp. You can use it at Cerberus if you'd like to get that extra crush hit in there, but that strength bonus you're not going to have. So that could be, it could go either way. And then Calphi Queen, yeah, the crush bonus could help you there. So maybe there's only 2 monsters that it really could be used at. And for a price of 6 mil, I can't really see it being extremely practical unless, you're a Corp prod or some shit like that. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 4 at the Kraken. So, taking everything into account, where would you put this on an overall ranking?
Okay, so I'd rank it a 6 on the overall scale. The defensive crush is nice. The offensive crush is nice. There's no strength bonus, which kind of sucks. I kind of wish it did have strength bonus, though. That'd be pretty cool. The overall cost effectiveness, 6 mil is, like, it's not too bad. It could be cheaper, though, for, like, only giving crush bonuses. And just the overall rank, I would put it at a 6 for that reason.
So I'm actually going to give it a 6 as well. I think that if it did have a strength bonus, even if it was just a +1 or a +2, that it would make this ring so much better. It would make it more viable to use at different bosses instead of just the onesies and twosies that we showed you. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 6 as well. I think that's pretty good. A pretty good rating for it. I know it has cost effectiveness kind of brought it down, defensive kind of brought it down. But if you are using this for Corp, I think it's, it rivals every single ring out there. So I'm going to wear max melee, aside from the helm, whatever. And I'm going to kill him. He's wearing a Berserker ring. I'm wearing a Berserker ring. Let's see how many times it takes me to kill him using a whip on flick. And we're going to add those all up at the end to see. I guess I won't use Piety this time. We'll just see how many hits it takes. Alright, now we're going to check it with the bludgeon to see where he stands, see how many hits it takes. So as you can see, the Berserker ring, which has the +8 crush defense, stood up a little bit better to the bludgeon, because the bludgeon is based all on crush, whereas the whip is based more on slash. So the average hits per kill with a whip was 6.6, as opposed to the bludgeon, which was at 8 hits per kill. So it's kind of a big ratio. If you see the difference over time, it would be much greater. But it's kind of interesting to see that the the +8 crush bonus does have a pretty big effect. Alright, so now we're going to look at the hits to kill using the Tyrannical ring. So if you look at the whip, you see that it's a 7.6 average hits to kill without the bonuses from the ring to stop my hits. It really just shredded through him without anything to stop it. Then if you look at the bludgeon, you see that it's an average hits to kill of 9.6, which is substantially different. In a one fight, it's 2 more hits to kill him, just because of that Tyrannical ring with that +8 crush. And bludgeon being a crush only weapon, you can see how it really affects it pretty bad. You can also see that wearing the Tyrannical ring slows down the hits to kill, even with the whip. With the Berserker ring, you have that extra strength bonus, and it's really clear to see that the strength bonus does play a major role in damage per second and in getting that kill quicker. So I think it's safe to say that the Berserker ring kinda topped over the Tyrannical ring. So the winner is the Berserker ring. I feel like the strength bonus tops the crush bonus that the Tyrannical ring has. The Tyrannical ring probably would be the best, obviously, for Corp. Other than that, I think it's safe to say that the Berserker ring is going to be the most practical and useful ring in the game. I don't think it really is rivaled by much when it comes to strength bonuses and damage per second. And that's going to be wrapping up this episode of The Rundown. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I took the comments from last video into consideration. I tried to make it a little bit shorter, and a little bit more easier to watch, and still able to put as much information and knowledge as I could into it. So hopefully you guys did learn something from this. If you did, let me know down below. What did you learn? Because I know me and Ninja definitely learned a bunch about these 2 different rings, which we thought we knew everything about, which we didn't. So it's kind of cool to make these, as it helps me and it helps you. So yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this, and let me know down below if you did and what you did learn, and we will see you next time with another episode of The Rundown. Peace. 3,